Thank you very much indeed. Matchesfashion.com is a great UK retail success story and a very distinctive one within the fashion sector. It's also one in which private equity, growth capital, venture capital have all played a part in the latter stages of its evolution. So it's an enormous pleasure to have the chance to have a brief interview with and tease out the reasons why of this extraordinary story with Fiona Greiner, CFO of Matchesfashion.com. Now, Fiona, like many an overnight success story, Matches Fashion has got a rather longer history than people might think. In fact, it sort of predates, in a sense, the internet era with which it's associated. So take us back to sort of year zero in Matches Fashion land.
Well, year zero was around 31, 32 years ago in 1987. So I hope you're all sitting comfortably. This could take a while to go through the history of Matches. And it really started with Tom Chapman, and at the time, I think with his sister, deciding to open a retail store in Wimbledon Village. His sister quickly left and went into the hospitality sector, and Tom managed to convince his then girlfriend, Ruth Chapman, to join him in the store, and they quickly followed on to have two stores, one for men's, one for women's, because actually I think working with your spouse is probably harder than either of them realized. And really it started with that store, and they were incredibly good at it. And I think this is a story of what happens when people find their niche and actually, their love of the customer, their love of the fashion, really grew the business almost despite, it was a lifestyle brand. They opened stores in other neighbourhoods, whether it be Ledbury Road, Westbourne Grove, Richmond, etc. And because they were good at retail, people like Max Mara approached them, and they ran licensee stores for Max Mara. We also were the first people to open a Diane van Furstenberg store outside of the US because they had that expertise and that love of the customer, love of fashion, and it really sort of shone through. And the business grew and grew and grew. And around 2006, 2007, Tom and Ruth decided that they would launch a website. And not because they wanted to be a sort of a big e-com player, not at all. It was because they had stock scattered in all their various locations, and they wanted to be able to show it to their customers to say, look at our full offering. Because they didn't have the sort of the bandwidth, if you like, to stock each store with everything. And it just took off. And it started to strip the stock of those stores. And I think, the customers loved it. It started to grow a global customer coming into the stores. They had a very deep relationship with all the brands who were, because of their fashion edit and taste, were completely passionate about Matches. And so they kind of reached a point where they thought, we either stay as a lifestyle brand or we go for this. And they decided to go for it, and in 2011 I joined the firm to help them capital raise in order to invest in stock and to take the business to the next level. And so by 2012 we had found our partners for the future in SEP and Highland, which for us was a real turning point.
Now, did they find you, or did you find them, or was
we
it sort
found each other.
Oh, how romantic.
We met. It's interesting because we met a lot of people, which is fascinating. And really what we wanted was somebody who really we felt could really help us grow. I mean, we hadn't had really much of a board prior to them. It was Tom and Ruth having a chat over breakfast, with a cup of coffee. And really, Tom understood totally that if he was going to do this, he wanted real partners, and he wanted to be able. So really, he was also looking at individuals, not just the deal on the table, but what are you going to bring to my board? Because in return, we're going to give you 1,000% clarity, but you're going to have a pivotal role. to play. And so those relationships, which we saw in Andrew Davison and Sam Brooks and Lawrence Garrett, were really critical to us because we knew we needed that expertise to help us take the business to the next level.
And it was at that point that the gear shift between the online and the non-online really
totally
clicked in.
Totally. I mean, in 2011, I think, from memory, our revenue was something like £50 million online, and it was roughly 43% of the business. So we were pretty small. But fast forward just even 2 years later, and our turnover was 100 million, and online was 80% of that, because we had pent-up demand, and we knew that, and really the initial part of the investment was to drive that stock. Yeah.
But that's really quite a sharp move, isn't it? I mean, there's a transformation of the name sounds the same, the founders are the same, but actually the business has fundamentally changed.
Yeah. But we have proof of concept, and we have pent-up demand, and we knew it, and we had confidence in it. I mean, I think the thing that we needed help with, going forward, was how do you put the building blocks in for a scalable, global, international business? Because actually, when you're growing so fast, it can so quickly run away with you. Yeah. And that's why that board was so key, and that challenge, and that expertise.
Yeah. And I suppose a symbol of this was that your principal location moved from Clapham Common, which is a charming location, nevertheless, to 3 floors in the Shard.
Yeah, quite.
Which is a bit more dramatic as a statement about who you are and what you intend to be.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think we can certainly say that we sweated the asset of the Clapham office. We wanted to spend money on the right things, but it was getting, I know one of my colleagues will say, it was getting pretty tight in there. Yeah. And so we needed to find another office. And we didn't set out thinking we're going to move into the Shard. What we thought was we need to move into a building that will allow us to grow. Yeah. A lot of the properties that we looked at and we saw, they're boxes and you can fit in, but you can't really expand within them. The beauty of the Shard is, we started off on 1 floor. We actually put the photo studio in to start with. We've taken another floor. I think we're the biggest occupier now in the Shard. And as people move, it does give us an opportunity to expand, within that space. But the Shard, make no bones about it, wanted us. They wanted a mix of tenants in the building, and Matches Fashion ticked every box. They were super keen to have us, and we were super keen to go. The minute we walked in. And also, the Shard, when you're a global player, there's such credibility from being in the Shard.
Yeah. And then relatively recently, the shift from being majority owned with SEP and Highland Europe as minority investors to Apax.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Was that another romantic meeting?
I think so. Right. We had a few romantic meetings. I think, through the journey with Highland and SCP, we'd actually invested a lot in people, talent, scalability. There was nothing we hadn't changed, from outsourcing the logistics to some of the amazing talent that you brought on board. And we had grown the business to a certain size. Tom and Ruth, I think, in the last sort of 3 years, were very mindful. They weren't reluctant sellers. They were very mindful of their plan, and they started to hand over and to delegate and to set us up, for a smooth transition and a sale. So when we got to a certain size, we started to engage and have conversations with people, and we could see that Apax was basically they're really decent people. They add a lot to our board, and we could see that we had a common view of the business and how it was going to grow, and that they were going to help us maintain the agility, the innovation, the growth, and the profitable growth, which is really important to us. And on those basic principles, we were all aligned, and we could see, as indeed they do, that we would be continuing this journey, albeit at a greater sort of scale. And the expertise that they can bring, because we are global, it is complex, and Apax bring a wealth of experience.
So you're now 80% plus online.
More than that, yeah.
70%
90.
plus international.
90. Yeah, I mean, I think, the UK is still an important market for us. It's somewhere in the region, I think, of about 25% of our online sales. But one of the great things about Matches is it's diverse, and that keeps us very strong. We have strong markets globally. Our customers are global. Yeah. And I think that's one of the strengths of the business, actually.
And one of the very distinctive features of the business, in a sector that's not perhaps always associated with being on the cutting edge of corporate social responsibility, ESG or sustainability, is the fact that you have made such efforts to set yourself up, really, to such high standards. So
yeah,
why? What was the compulsion to do that?
We believe, wholeheartedly, that you can't grow a sustainable, profitable business without having social responsible policies. Right. Yeah, we believe that totally. I mean, the world is it's super important. It's important when attracting talent. We have a lot of young people that work at Matches Fashion that are deeply passionate. We have suppliers that are passionate, and we have customers that are really, really passionate about this. And so the core of all of Matches Fashion has always been to listen to its staff, to its people, to its business partners. And this is important issues for everyone. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's an absolute no-brainer to put this at the front of our agenda. But it's not a project to us. This is something which we're trying to ingrain in the DNA of the business, and for it to be everywhere, in every decision, around how we treat our people, how we treat our suppliers. And it's about partnering, right, and setting out expectations.
And you have a code of conduct in that regard. Now, lots of people have codes of conduct, and codes of conduct can come in all sorts of shapes, yes, sizes, and fluffiness. But yours is more akin to the Ten Commandments, really, isn't it? I know.
Because we worked with EcoAge, yeah, and it was really important for us that we, like with everything that we do it in a robust and thorough and thoughtful and considered way. And EcoAge are absolutely phenomenal at this. And they have spent a lot of time in our business looking at lots of different areas, spending time with all the departments, and really sort of highlighting that sustainability touches everything. It's wider than you would think, and helping us to come up with policies in every single. That's why it takes you, if you log onto our website, it's there in all its glory, and it will take you 2 to 3 hours to read through it all. But it's useful for us too, because we refer to it, we use it. It's not a document that isn't read. Within departments, we're constantly bringing everything back to the code of conduct. And it sets us some timelines and goals with which we can measure ourselves, yeah, and we audit ourselves against it.
For those who are not familiar with EcoAge, this is not like sort of hiring in a consultancy. It's like the personal trainer you can't fire.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so yes, exactly. I mean, the degree to which you've allowed these people to kind of.
But they help, I think one of the things that they have really helped, they help you to start, and they help you to plan something that is achievable, that works for your business, that is pacey but not overwhelming, and they really help you to start your sustainable journey and understand. And actually, and how having that view on sustainability will help your business grow as well.
But it's a particular challenge in your case, because you have something like 400 brands?
Yes.
So that's an awful lot of people whose behaviour to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but it's really around giving a positive, some positive pressure, if you like. But the fashion industry is supportive of sustainability. And I think once you start this journey, what you actually realise is there are a lot of people striving to do better. And we don't expect perfection from people. What we expect is an ethical, responsible approach and continual improvement, as we do with ourselves. Yeah, we see this as not a project to hit, but something that will be ongoing.
And you still have a few, inverted commas, traditional stores.
Yes.
4 or 5 of them in London, one not far away, actually, on Marylebone High Street.
Marylebone High Street, yeah.
And I think you have a sort of sort of private.
Carlos Place.
Yes. Just explain the Carlos Place concept a bit.
The Carlos Place concept is really around how we storytell. It's one of our tools, I suppose, as a business, because we are online and we are very customer focused, and we have a story to tell that people will help people engage with us as a brand. So Carlos Place does many things. We are very good at taking a space and making it work on many different perspectives and angles. So there is retail space there. There is private shopping there. There's an event space there where brands will come and we run events. And there's also a sort of a digital hub. And our idea is that the content that we capture there, whether it be from podcasts, interviews, just getting the buzz and people talking about Carlos Place, will help us to, we use those assets and we will put them on our site, and it helps amplify our name and our brand globally. Yeah.
And you have now nearly 500 people on the staff?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, and growing.
And growing?
And growing, yeah.
So, and many more floors of the Shard ready to occupy?
I mean, to be honest, what our approach to headcount and growth is, we'd rather have, and indeed we do, have a very talented, we're not about adding and adding and adding. Really what we're about is quality, talent that grows with us. And, I think I said earlier, one of the things that we did with the Highland and SEP was really invest in people. And we brought in a lot of senior people, and they are still here today. Yeah, and so for us, that's really important that I've been at Matches now for 7.5 years, and not one single, it feels like I've had 7.5 jobs.
Right.
Because it's so constantly changing and evolving and developing. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be, we will grow, obviously, in variable costs, but I think, we have, the talent to scale from.
Excellent. And there's one final question.
Sure.
There's a lot of sort of public angst almost about the future of the high street, and whether or not, in a sense, Matches Fashion unwittingly symbolises something more broadly about the end of the high street. So in your view, is the high street destined for death, or can it regenerate itself as a woman, much like Doctor Who, and save itself? I'm
sure it can. I mean, the way I look at the global luxury market, and I can just talk to, I suppose, our own sector, is, what is it currently, 280 billion euros? So of which online is only 9% of that. And that's planned to grow to 25%, isn't it, by 2025? That's helpful, both 25. And, so there's a lot of share of wallet and part. We're only scratching the surface. So, I mean, I think and customers, luxury customers, like to shop any which way and how they can. And I think choice is only a good thing. We are focusing on our sector and our growth, which is mainly online. But nonetheless, we know we are good at what we do because of the heritage that we have with bricks and mortar and those retail stores. So I ideally hope, as a shopaholic, to a certain degree, that our online grows, but at the same time that there is always a high street.
On that uplifting note, Fiona, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.